Alright, two things I want to point out here before I actually get into this preview, and the preview is of The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, is for people that don't want plot elements spoiled, want to go into this game fresh, honestly would say to you, turn the video off, go on to something else on the site, go on somewhere else Game Reactor related, but don't listen in. And for PC users, stay, because there's enough different about the Xbox 360 Enhanced Edition that will interest you, because what is appearing on it will also be appearing as an update for the PC version. Alright, so to go over what those are first, we've just had a presentation by the developer. They've stated that there is over 4 hours extra of cutscenes and gameplay and stuff like that, which will include 2 main additional quests. The 2 main additional quests will appear act through the game, so right near the end they'll pop up. We got a little preview of them. You can get a bit more detail on our hands-on preview that should be on the site now. You have to read that, because right now I'm going to talk to you, Mr. and Mrs. Viewer, who have not yet played Witcher 2. It's certainly something that has affected me as well. I've seen the PC version numerous times over the last few years, but never went hands-on with it. I did with the 360 version, and I have to say the quality of it shines through the entirety of that 1.5 to 2 hour segment that I played. Kicked off right at the start of the game, and then sort of put us through and I should actually say there's spoilers within as well, so don't be listening if you want to go into this, like I said, blind. But yes, we followed a king's siege of a rival's castle. We watched the king get his ass kicked. And then we followed up with a little forest trip where we were attacked by some rather evil elves. Witcher 2 takes the usual fantasy traditions and sort of turns them on the head, as in it's really, really dark fantasy. You will not see happy-go-clappy elves. This is more in line with HBO's George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. On the real side there is betrayals, there's everything in between that you'd want from an adult, definitely an adult themed piece of dark fantasy entertainment. Problems we had with it though, with any of these fantasy games, with anything that incorporates standard classic weapons as well as multiple magic spells, as well as alchemy, as well as training and upgrades, is that it can be a little bit overwhelming first. We sat down with a 10 to 15 minute tutorial to begin the game, and even though it's really nicely done, flashes up on screen what you need to do, there's always a reference to just hit the back button if you want to double check any tutorial tip that's come up as you play the game. You get a bit swamped. Now they have tried very hard, and I think they've actually done a really good job of mapping the PC version's control scheme to the 360 controller. They've stated that they've redone everything, rejigged it so it works perfectly with the joypad. And I think they've done that per se. You've got your sort of A and X are light and strong attacks, Y's for magic, and you can lock on to enemies if you trail the right stick around, and once it's over an enemy, hold left trigger, you'll focus on that enemy. At that point, hold right trigger to block. Parrying is something that is shown and used in the tutorial, but it comes later on once you upgrade your abilities. And yeah, I mean, for fighting that's absolutely fine. It's a standard fighting's fine. But then what you do is you incorporate in the shoulder buttons. LB will give you a quick menu where you can select one of a handful of magic abilities that are, you know, cast fire, repel, shield, and on the right hand side of that menu you've got knives, bombs, setting traps. And then what you do is, like I said, Y will basically use whatever magic you've selected. RB will use the specific sub-weapon, or sorry, mini-weapon, like daggers and stuff. It's really complex to get your head right. I mean, come about an hour into it, it's really smooth. You're basically switching between spells like that works really well. But at the start, yeah, it's a little bit like, Christ, what? Hang on, I have to sit down, write this down, and go, right, okay, do that, does that, does that, does that. Because combat, you're never really one-on-one with people. It's always against a group of enemies, like the castle siege we talked about, where you'll just work your way between like 5 to 6 people, kill them, up a few stairs, another 5 to 6 people. And it's more case with the camera. Found this before with these sort of like third-person action adventures. It really works really well, but just getting your head around it, where you have to let go of LT, pan the camera around, focus on a target, and then hold LT again. Now you can press up and down on the right stick to basically quickly slick between the different targets, but because obviously you're surrounded, like I said, it gets a bit hard to get your head around. But once it starts working, all smooth, all great. And one of the big highlights of this is that it never feels tiring. You don't feel like you're button bashing. There's a certain combo element to the light and the strong attacks, and obviously enough connecting that with the spells as well. So you'll have guys, just normal standard warriors, then you'll have guys with shields, you have big huge knights replenishing armor, but we move really slow. So each enemy has their particular technique for defeating, and once you get into it, it feels like a really free-flow combat situation, which is really nicely done, because even though you can see the different techniques that add up to make this system work, once you're in the heat of battle, it doesn't matter. You really feel immersed in it, and that's something that Witcher 2 does really well. The immersion factor, it's something that you'll see in the story. The CGI sequence that opens the game, it's a brand new CGI sequence, and they repeatedly stated during the presentation today how proud they are of it, and rightly they should be. Shows that this is a story that covers kings. It covers from the highest lord to the smallest servant, and each of them is given a really nice personality, that even though you meet them for only about 30 seconds a minute, to people that you stay with the entire adventure, you get really interested in what they're doing. It's a combination of the body language, a combination of the character animation, and as well as that, the voice acting. I honestly, there's some lines here that are so sold by the voice actor alone. I was laughing quite heartily, and that normally doesn't happen with story-driven adventure games for me. I enjoy it, but this, just one-liners came left, right, and centre. You know, like sword swipes, just funny, really funny. And okay, again, the various factions, the various characters, the characters you don't see but hear about, wash over you. Again, very overwhelmed by that. But they keep it ingrained, because it always stays with Geralt, who is the fellow you play during the course of the game, who is wrongly accused of being a kingslayer, spoiler, and must go and clear his name. You stay with the same small group of people throughout, and you warm to them, you enjoy their company. And the thing is, the story's done that well, that when people that you may learn to care about are suddenly disappear or get hurt or worse, you genuinely care. You get pissed off, especially against the people that have done that to them, and you go nuts and start chopping away. Again, it's the immersion factor, and other games would have you chopping away at people because that's the next thing. That's how to progress to the next plot point. That's how to get to the next objective. In this, you attack people because you feel angry, and Witcher 2 does a great way of making you feel part of the story. And trying to think what else to say, really. Like I said, we've literally just come away after playing it for that 2-hour period, and the thing I've repeatedly said to developers, to other journalists, to random people in this hotel, is that I just want to go home, sit down, turn off the phone, and play it for 12, 15 hours. I want to play it over a weekend. I want to really get wrapped up in this story, and that's a really huge sell for me, because I'm a really big fan of story-driven adventures, and this is one of the best stories one of the best narratives I've come across. And yeah, it deals with elves, it deals with dragons, it deals with swords, it deals with a guy that has a mysterious past. We expect that from the genre, but the difference is when when a writer, and in fact a studio, does it well, you don't worry about cliche, you don't worry about stereotype, you just worry about what happens next. And I think that's what Witcher 2 sells itself really well on. The action's great, spells, the alchemy especially will probably be something I'll get more into the later you get into the adventure, but for now I just want to know what happens next. And hell, for those guys that can play it on PC, yeah, you do want to come back and try the new missions, the new objectives, see this new stuff in Act 3. But for anybody, for you guys out there who haven't tried Witcher 2 yet, and I'm talking from experience here, listen to me. Come April 17th when it's released, it's really worth keeping an eye on. At least try it. Because if you like Skyrim, if you're coming off Mass Effect, and you want something in that similar vein, something epic but personal at the same time, I think Witcher 2 is going to do it. I'm so looking forward to actually sitting down and reviewing it, because like I said, I can just spend a couple of days in the quiet and get really involved in the story, and fingers crossed it turns out to be as good as I believe it to be.